welcome back. This is Carlos Cavallo from datingadviceguru.com, and we're going to talk about that eternal dilemma of how the hell do you get guys to listen to you? Why won't he listen to you? Well, we're going to talk about five tricks to get him to listen to you. You ever been talking to a guy and you just knew by the spaced out look in his eyes that he just really wasn't paying attention, he wasn't listening to you? You know, you're trying to share something emotional and try and connect with him, but it doesn't seem like he's tuned into the same frequency. Well, there's several reasons for it. I'm going to go through them really quickly, and then I'm going to give you a few strategies for you to get him to listen to you. The first reason he's not listening to you is that he's just not wired for it. Men's brains develop very differently from women's, particularly in the language and communication area. And guys think in terms of single tasks. We're very linear focused, and we're also not very in touch with our feelings. So we don't have the language to be able to explain what we're feeling all the time. I know you'd love for us to say it, but we often don't have the words for it. We only have the experience. So you got to be patient, and you got to recognize he's not wired for it. Reason number two is it feels like a power struggle sometimes in a relationship for a guy to talk about his feelings. In other words, you have the ability, he doesn't. It feels like a power, like a win-lose situation. And if the woman is venting her feelings, then she's winning because she's the one who's able to bring this stuff out, and that means he's losing. I know it's kind of crazy, but guys think in these competitive terms, so recognize that he feels like that. Reason number three is that it's like emotional flooding, and this is an actual term. Men find emotional conversations emotionally draining, and at some point, all men have a limit. We all have a limit as to how much we can talk about emotions and situations like that. Just recognize it could be anywhere from 5 minutes to an hour, but it's probably closer to the 10 to 15 minute range, and you have to be willing to give him a break. Don't let it go on too long or he's going to check out. Reason number four is that men cling to the rational. Yeah, guys don't handle the irrational world of emotions, and I use irrational figuratively. Of course, it's a real and valid way to experience the world, but men don't handle it as well. So sometimes we fight back against those kinds of conversations. We cling to the rational because that's what we know and that's what we understand. And reason number five is that guys, we think problems need to be solved. You've probably heard this one before, that guys tend to go at conversations as being problems that need to be solved instead of letting you vent, which sometimes you just need to do. And it's a very simple situation that most guys don't understand. In other words, venting and sharing feelings doesn't feel very productive to him. He wants to get straight to solving the problem. So recognize that no matter what happens, he's going to want to go there. So the first trick to get him to listen to you is, first of all, get your thoughts straight before you have a talk with him. It's a very important part of the process because men become very frustrated with emotional conversations. If you're still trying to figure it out and you're not quite sure what you're feeling, but you know you're feeling something, don't figure it out in conversation with him. Do that with your girlfriend and then come to him with a very clear idea of what it is that's bothering you. He's going to appreciate it much more than working through it with him, and you'll have a much more patient and loving conversation. Trick number two is you got to recognize that most men are not a suitable receptacle for emotional venting, okay? Sometimes we feel like we are an emotional dumping ground for the women in our lives, and not in a mean way, but that's the way it sometimes feels when we get flooded like that. Okay, you have to keep in mind that his need to not be flooded with your emotions is just as valid as your need to share your emotions. So you have to find an effective way to vent. Sometimes you have to go to your girlfriends first, get the energy out of the conversation first before you go to him with whatever's bothering you. I've had so many clients and customers and women I've coached tell me that that has been a key differentiator, the very thing that made their relationships start to work. Get him to hear you. Trick number three is let him know that you don't need a solution. All right. This one is tops on the list because many women don't recognize this pattern early enough, and they tend to fall into the same pattern of misunderstanding. You don't want to wait until the emotional panic or the urgency hits you to start talking with him because it's not going to work. You're going to forget. Before it happens, before the next incident happens, just sit him down sometime and say, look, I want to let you know that sometimes when I'm just talking, I just need to vent and I'm just trying to get the emotions out there. I'm not even being critical of you, even if it sounds like it. So just don't worry about it. Sometimes I'll just, have to vent. And I don't care if you create a safe word or however you do this, but have some way of letting them know that before you start talking when the urgency hits you, okay? Trick number four is don't interrupt him to talk about something important. If he's in the middle of something he's really enjoying, the worst thing in the world, the thing that guys hate the most is to be pulled out of that and be interrupted by, honey, we need to talk right now. if it was so urgent, we're thinking to ourselves, why did it have to happen right when I was doing something that I enjoyed? Now, I know it seems selfish, but then again, so is the need to have that emergency on his time like that. Just wait till he's finished. Ask him, say, hey, dude, when are you going to be done with that? Are you going to be done with that game in the next hour? Okay, cool. Don't tell him why. Don't say, we need to talk. That's even worse because he knows what's coming. You might as well just start talking right there. Remember, he'll be emotionally panicked and he'll be caught off guard and panicked about not being prepared. So give him a little bit of forewarning, or at least wait until he's done with whatever he's doing. Trick number 5 is tell him what it is you need to hear. Most of the time, a man actually does hear you, but he just doesn't know the correct thing to say back. Again, remember, guys don't have that emotional language. It means he doesn't also probably want to ruin his shot at having sex later, so he's not going to say anything that is a possible mistake and screws that up. So you can help him by just giving him a heads up of what it is you expect to hear from him in the conversation that helps him understand what it is you're looking for. Amazingly, almost no women I know have ever done this until I've told them about it. And they're like, oh yeah, I guess it makes sense that I should tell them what it is I need to hear, whether it's validation or whatever it is. And that will solve your problems. Because guess what? No matter how many romantic movies tell you that the essence of him being the one, your soulmate, is that he has to read your mind, he's never going to be able to. Guys just aren't built like that. So if you want to have a false expectation and then constantly build relationships on that, it could hurt you quite a bit. True love is not equal to a man's ability to spontaneously come up with the perfect thing to say to you right on the spot. He can't do it. A little bonus here, if you want to really create a kind of connection with a man that can't be broken, praise him. Praise him a lot. Let him know that he's doing something right. And guess what? What gets recognized gets repeated. He'll keep doing it. Men need to be validated by the woman in their life, not insulted or put down for the things that you feel he's coming up short on. Trust me when I tell you this, that nobody was ever suddenly motivated to do what they were supposed to be doing by a sarcastic comment. It doesn't work like that. So, hey, you know what? When he does something that's really boneheaded, don't recognize it. But when he does something good, let him know about it. And if you want to get rid of all those typical guy issues, those things you constantly hear are problems in relationships, like emotional unavailability and tuning you out and not listening to you and being a commitment phobic, that stuff can be a thing of the past. If you want to know how to communicate better and you want your man to truly connect with you, then there's a quick video presentation I have that will show you how to do it. And it's by learning the password to his heart, just like the password to his computer, which I know you'd love to have, or the password to his phone, huh? Well, you can do the same thing with his heart. Go on over to datingadviceguru.com/forever. That's datingadviceguru.com/forever, where you can actually learn how to let yourself into his heart. I'll be talking again soon. This is Carlos Cavallo from datingadviceguru.com/forever. I'll be yours again next week.